Well, now I want to turn to Chris Course for our My Bill segment of our show. This is really a popular segment, and Chris, I can't thank you enough for doing it.
All right, tonight's My Build is featuring you. There's no specific topic on it tonight, but there will be a topic next month. So we'll get to that at the end. All right, I'm your host, Chris Course, and we're going to start out with Martin Breckbill. You up, Martin?
Up and down.
All righty. All right, let's looks like you've got 12 slides tonight.
That many? You didn't condense it. Okay.
Yeah, I just put them all. I just copied them directly from your PowerPoint right on in.
Oh God, that's terrible. Okay, go ahead. Oh, I sent you those, really? Okay.
Yep.
Scratch built logging cars. This is what you do. Well, these were just the end platforms that Walthers used to make. I guess Scale City Designs makes now are white metal end castings. And I just milled off the parts. Well, these are actually designed for hopper cars and tank cars, the end castings. Well, you mill off parts that don't belong, like the cradles for the tank cars, and mill out underneath for KDs, since the Walthers parts don't really accept them. Piece of brass tubing in between, and some JB Weld holds it all together. Some a few detail parts after that, and you're pretty much done. It's some painting, but these are a fairly economical and easy way to grind out logging cars. Cheap and easy and fast, and you can make them any length you want depending on your piece of tubing in the middle. So this is one of those quick and easy things I thought I was going to do, and went and did it. And now I don't know what I'm going to do with them, but they're over here in a box somewhere. Yeah, putting on the brake piece is a little tricky, but not too hard. You just solder on an extra little piece of brass here and there, and you can mount the K brake and all the little pieces. So it all solders up fairly decently underneath until you stop using brass, and then it's ACC and goo and more epoxy if you so choose. Okay, you're going to tell me there's 10 more, I'm in trouble. Oh gosh.
Yeah, it looks like I think they're all most of them are of this car, if not all of them.
Okay. This is a car I started about 5 years ago, maybe 6, and it sat on the one end bench space for about 5 years. We got to a point and I don't know, stalled out, got bored with it, got tired of looking at it, and decided, well, we'll just let that get covered up with dust until someday and I feel like I should actually get around to doing something. And then somehow I got motivated. Somebody came downstairs and gave me a good swift kick and said, why don't you clean off that end of your bench? It's probably more likely. So I decided to grind it out. This was the second blacksmith car that I've built. And I guess what motivated me or dismotivated me from completing it was the fact that I knew how much pain it would be to finish it. The car itself is not too complicated. It's just a bunch of strip wood and some of that red cedar strip wood I got from Kapler a long time ago. It's actually rather nice and rough cut. Makes for nice surfaces. The tank on the end here, I just brass wrapped around a wood form soldered up together. Had to have a light. I'm not sure where that even came from. A lot of this stuff, I don't know where it really came from. It's just stuff that I had in a box somewhere, and I thought, well, we'll just throw this on here. It looks like it belongs there. Why don't you hit the next slide or two? We'll just walk around it. Oh, the other direction. Yeah, there's that tank again. So that hose or fake hose is actually candle wick. So it makes actually nice braided, canvas type hose with a little bit of persuasion. You can get it to coil up and stay like that. Persuasion being judicious amounts of glue of various types. Keep on forging on. Yeah, just another view of the same size, but you can begin to see what's underneath inside the blacksmith. There's actually a blacksmith in there. He's got a nice red piece of heated up metal. Good figure. I've forgotten where that figure came from. Might have been Aardvark Arts. A lot of the parts in there, you can just go to the next slide or two. Yeah, well, different angle. Well, a lot of the parts that are in there came from Wiseman Model Services. Some of it's Detail Associate tool parts, but you can just keep going, zip around the rest of the car. Yeah, not the best views. I gotta get a better camera someday or more time with the one I have. Just keep going for now. Yeah, you can see there's a tool workbench in the back. Lots of tools, and lots of tools. Lantern hanging on a hook on the inside. The most problematic challenge to building this thing was painting all the detail parts. The second part was putting them where they are, because once the car is assembled, reaching through there takes all kinds of machinations with funky little shaped tweezers of all different types, reaching around things, which don't want to let go of the tweezers because you've got too much glue on them. So you end up gluing the parts to the tweezers instead of to the car. Eventually you persuade things to come loose and sit on the car. Just keep going. There you go. There's the forge around that side. We got a chimney on top, which has seen better days. Keep on going there. Maybe one more. Yeah, and you can see all the tongs and hanging on the cross strut that's holding the car together. There's all kinds of little things in this car that I can't get all the photographs together to show you what's in it.
Yeah, it's amazing the amount of detail you can put in a very small area.
Yeah, and those are odd trucks too. I think those are the old Keystone Model Works trucks for logging cars. There's not arch bars. So they actually are pretty heavy weighted trucks, and they keep this car from being top heavy. Is there anything else?
Yep.
Oh, more of the same side. Okay, so yeah, I had the figure and the anvil and all these other parts. So just a matter of marrying all the parts together and planting them in reasonable places. And I hope that's the last slide.
No, it looks like you've got
Well,
at least a few more. The last one will have an L in the bottom left corner.
oh, you've got them coded now.
Oh, I've been doing that for well over a year and nobody's caught on yet.
I haven't. Well, now your secrets are out now. Coils of barbed wire up on the cross member there, and all kinds of stuff with hooks and pieces and parts, and there's everything on here. I can't see it well for sure to say that it's not there. I thought there was a dog there too, but I guess maybe he's fallen off. All kinds of other stuff in there. It's an odd framing technique too on the rafters where everything's kind of mortised. I actually mortised things together.
I'm gonna say that's quite a unique setup right there. Looking at the roof.
Yeah, it's all mortised together, and those rods that hold it together are drilled through the entire car, threaded through. I think that's like 28 or 32 thousandths wire. And they are kind of structural because otherwise it's a little wobbly. You actually do hold it together to some extent.
Huh.
Yeah, it's based on framing techniques or things I've run across over the years up in the middle of the woods finding an old house, which something I was doing yesterday. So one more slide, I hope, with an L on it.
There's the last one.
There it is, the little red L in the corner. There you go. Nicely out of focus here on this end, but I'm a little out of focus tonight too, so it's okay. Okay, so I think that's enough out of me. We should go see somebody else now.
All right. Does anybody have any questions for Martin
Oh,
before
yeah.
we
Yes, I do. Before you go away, Martin, and I'm glad you ended on this slide, Chris. That chain right there that's a little out of focus, but in an earlier one was in focus, looks like a double link chain. I don't suppose you by any chance happen to know where you got that, do you?
I have no idea.
You got it from Al Judy.
I don't know that. Probably possible, but.
I'll just come over and root through your junk boxes sometime.
Actually, I have a whole back section of my precision scale storage bin parts bin is there's a whole section just of various types of chain.
Yeah, well, I like that chain. It's very unusual to not see it like on an anchor or something.
Yeah, that's why I kind of like, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this. I'll lose it here. So,
And Chris, not everyone has failed to notice your code.
okay, well,
Okay.
if I don't have my reading glasses on, I can't see it probably. Okay, enough is enough of me.
All righty. Any more questions for Martin?
Don't be shy.
This is O scale, correct?
Yes, sir.
You can never have enough of Martin.
Oh, boy. My wife might
I was-
differ with you.
All right,
I
how
always
about the
look forward
roof?
to-
Yes, sir.
All right, how about the roof?
I don't even remember what it is. Could we go back to the top of back up like
Looks
6?
like tissue or,
Oh, that's okay. There's planks underneath of it, but that's just probably napkin. Probably Panera napkin.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
My usual Panera
Panera
napkin.
napkin.
paper napkin, okay.
Yeah, and it's probably, but it's single ply, probably glued down and then painted lark dark gray.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a terrible fire hazard, but you know, isn't everything.
All righty. Any more questions for Martin? All right. Well, thank you, Martin. I always look forward to seeing your slides every month. All right. So we will move on. Next up, we have Ed Cady. Haven't seen you in quite a while. Ed, how you been?
It's been so long, I forgot to unmute.
Looks like you've got 4 slides tonight.
Yes.
All right. Because I think I doubled up on some of them. Well, on
Gotcha.
all of them.
Right.
All right.
Yeah, I would have to say long-term viewers might recognize the Hunter Line covered bridge that I've done. What I've done here is actually you can see where that one piece of moss in front of the locomotive is. That's where the original diorama was, and I've expanded it so it actually takes up a 1x2 piece of wood and all that. It's not quite finished because, as you can see, it's missing ballast. But I also have a slight question also on how to finish the little pond that's sort of like behind the locomotive. And then, of course, after I get everything all finished and all that, then I'll turn around and give a final showing of this bridge. It's actually also HOW6. It's actually 6-foot broad gauge. The locomotive is standard gauge and it's on the bridge rails, which are actually set up as standard gauge. I'm still in the process of making 6-foot gauge equipment. I haven't gotten there yet, but I'm practicing on these dioramas to doing at least straight track work at this point. Let's see what's on the next
All right.
slide.
Actually, if you wanted to talk about your pond that you're trying to figure out how to do.
I think the next one I think might be slightly better. Yeah,
Alright.
close. But as you can see in the lower one there, it's like basically I've painted the bottom, but haven't figured out how to put the like water in it, because the river was done using I think it's Mark of Sweden. He did a thing using a matte medium and tissue paper, which is fine for which is very fine for a running stream and all that, or where there's moving water, but the pond is not, sort of not as moving, not as moving water, not as rushing water as what the creek is.
Yeah, it looks like Clark piped in on the chat and he said, for the water, use deep pour water from Woodland Scenics.
All
Um,
right.
I
Well,
know
it's not that deep, but
Yeah, but
think
I ran
I'm
it,
good.
or I've been using realistic water. I actually think I inherited it from somebody. I don't think I've ever bought a bottle of it, and it's still in the original bottle. But the thing I've noticed with it is if you have an angle to it over a long period of time, or if you put something on it, you'll end up with marks in it. So maybe I noticed you've got some Mod Podge in there. I wonder if somebody can chime in and tell us if they've used Mod Podge for that. That might be a little better suited for what you're looking to do.
yeah, I think I mean, pure Mod Podge is very thick. So that's why I assume that it wouldn't work, but
It will work. Ed, sorry, it's Clark. It will work. It depends on how deep you want the sort of the effect to be. The other thing is, what is it sitting on? Is that a piece of foam?
no, that is it's a little hard to describe because I actually got it from work. I work at a place that makes mattresses, and we get, and the thing is that the fabric that we get in it has actually, hold on one second.
Okay, real simple. Is it? There's no. It's more of a material than a say piece of wood.
Yeah, it's I'm not sure if you can unshare the screen.
You know.
Okay.
Okay. The reason is you can't, a lot of resins you can. Oh, okay. I know this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would not.
Pressed cardboard.
Yeah. I would stay away from any resins. I go to a water soluble something with that.
Gotcha.
Mod Podge would probably work for you.
All right. So I guess we'll go that direction then.
Another good material is the golden acrylic gloss medium.
And you can see my first bridge. You can see my first.
That's another water-based one, isn't it?
There it is. Okay.
Considering where that material came from, I guess you could call your ties sleepers.
Yes.
Really, bud?
Well, what can I say? It's a really cushy job.
All right. Okay. So I think we've Ed, I think you've got your answer there. It sounds like Mod Podge is the way to go for you.
Yeah, I guess I'll go that direction.
All right. Yeah, and you've got some, so no more money to spend on some things, on some water.
You
All
can
right,
look up
next
Dave
up.
Ferrari. He has a good tutorial on YouTube on using Mod Podge for water.
Who's this?
Dave Ferrari.
Dave Ferrari. All right. Sounds familiar.
Yep.
All right. Did my screen share pop back up for everybody?
It did, and
No,
then
looks like it.
went back down. And it was,
Okay, there we go.
there you go. All right. There we
Okay.
go.
All right. Now it's back. All right, cool.
Now this is sort of the other end of the module. right where you see in the middle of the stream there, you see a small little extra tree that sort of quote unquote fell in. That's sort of the border between I actually made it twice as wide. And that's where I'm trying to hide where the transition is between the two between the two sections, mainly because I couldn't get it to look, I couldn't match them very well and all that. So that's why I went that direction. And
Necessity is the mother of invention.
absolutely. Well, I've also watched been keeping an eye on the streams around here and all that, and realized that I didn't do it seems that the streams are multi-layered. So instead of having the valley all with rocks and all that, there's actually a sub valley that's where you have extra like a smaller river valley of it going through there. And I guess the more water it is, the more it covers over. But
I think I know from up your way. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. It looks like the creek beds or whatever have 3 different lives, and it all depends on the level of where they're living, whether it's kind of drought or whether it's an average rainfall, or like you guys have had with all the extra, it's up high.
yes. But
There has been a recommendation off YouTube. If you're interested. They suggest using a piece of clear styrene cut to the exact size you want. And put it on there.
Yeah, that's
that
not
would
bad.
also work. That's also a possibility.
And
I
you can
do
add
have
your
some-
Mod Podge on top.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
would actually probably even combine
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah, because that would even because it won't seep in, then it'll be a little better product, I guess.
It's safer from the material you're using underneath.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah, basically I did put Woodland Scenics plaster cloth on top of it. But that's
Mhm.
also not fully probably sealed either. So
No.
Yeah, because that's the problem with the Woodland Scenics is that that stuff it just looks for an excuse to seep on through the bottom.
Exactly.
and I think there's one more set.
Yep, sure is. There we go.
Yep, and that shows on the top picture you can barely see where I got the bridge rails that the locomotive is sitting on. Interesting thing is the locomotive, from what I understand, is actually 00 scale. So it actually winds up being very close to, I guess, what the prototype would be, I guess. And that's one of the things is that with the Hunter Line kits, I think it was with the uncovered bridge, basically. That is actually it actually says that the NMRA the actual prototype scale of the bridge is actually the narrow gauge bridge. The standard gauge bridge is actually wider to fit the NMRA clearances.
Oh, cool.
So it actually winds up being because when I was thinking about doing 6-foot gauge, I was trying to, it's like thinking of how to, do that. And then when I saw that, I'm like, I could just use the regular NMRA bridge because the clearances are already built in. Because with the model trains, they're designed for one, longer cars and also shorter radiuses. So it makes sense that they're wider than the prototype would be.
Cool.
And yep, and I believe that's it. And thank you for the help.
Well, thanks for sharing, Ed. Are there any questions for Ed before we move on? All right. We will move
right.
on now.
Yeah,
Nope.
I would, just one thing is, I didn't take a picture, but when I redid this, I actually took the bridge off because I wanted to wanted to design the bridge so it could be removable. So if I do get a layout that's large enough where I can actually have the bridge, I could. And the roof does come off on it because of that.
Oh, nice. Alrighty. Any questions for Ed? Okay, well, thank you very much, Ed. Glad to see you. Haven't seen you in a while. We'll now move on to Jeff Jordan. Yep, Jeff.
I'm here.
Alrighty. It looks like you've got 4 slides tonight.
Okay.
All right.
See which one you got first.
Pretty good.
Yep.
Okay, here we go. I've been working on Vance Junction. And so there's the prototype that I started from, and photograph is where the section house stands right now. And the depot, the old passenger car, served as a depot. The section house is the Banta kit, which is a fantastic kit. And then the depot is actually a much modified Bachmann passenger car. I was given a damaged passenger car as a gift and turned it into the depot by just like the prototype, covering up the most of the windows down the side there, scratch building the platform, painting it with the Rio Grande Southern colors. And the Goose is a terrific precision scale model. And I'm just about to start the scenery in this section. You can't tell from the black and white prototype photo, but from the few color photos that are available, it was ballasted with a kind of mixed cinder effect. So most of the cinder ballast I'm finding is too jet black and too uniform. So I'm trying to figure out what I can do. I may have to blend more than one brand or type of ballast to get a more mixed, but this should all be cinder, and that will start going down fairly soon.
Alrighty.
Next slide. Oh, okay, that's just a little close-up of the section house, the crew member and the Goose.
Right.
Yeah,
That's a
and
precision scale.
it is. And just behind the crew member, if you're familiar with the prototype photographs, they all have that theater type bench out front. And so I ended up having to scratch build the theater type bench by finding some model bench ends and then stringing them together. So there's actually there's an armrest between each seat. And so it's a little soft metal casting of the ends. And then the horizontal boards are little strips of evergreen styrene. And that was a tedious little job to put together.
Yeah.
But it had to have that bench. It's in every picture.
Alrighty.
Okay. Oh, here we go. This is the coal pocket Advanced Junction. The prototype photograph was taken very near the end of the operation of the railroad, where things were in especially rough shape. And then there's my model of it. This is what was until very recently a long out of production kit by Crystal River. They just reintroduced it at the narrow gauge convention this year. But mine, after years of searching, was a new old stock copy of the kit. It's an amazing kit, hundreds of laser cut pieces of wood. And then I put this together in a manner I've never done before, because every piece is on display. Indeed, if you go around the other side, you could see in the pockets, the roof comes off to display all the elaborate woodwork inside as well. So almost every stick is visible. And so I ended up staining every stick with Hunterline stains. which really brought out the texture and grain of the wood really nicely. I'm really happy how that wood looks. And then, as you can see in the photograph, the siding and the external part of the chutes were painted a boxcar red, heavily weathered in the photograph. I trying to go a little bit earlier in time, so not quite as heavily weathered, but that was stain the wood with Hunterline stains and then paint it with a very thinned boxcar red so that you can see the variation showing through. You can see the stained wood showing through underneath. I'm really happy with the finished effect. And then you can see down near them, behind the tender there, that one chute is down and the interior gate is showing, and they were not painted. So just like in the prototype picture, it's weathered wood, but a terrific structure, huge model. I was glad I could just fit it in. As you can see, it's literally up against the backdrop, but a fantastic model and fantastic challenge to assemble, because every bit of your work is on display. Every joint, every bit of the assembly. There's no place to hide. And there you can see in that color photo, that's the ballast effect I'm trying to get to, which is not jet black, because this was a pretty impoverished railroad. And so they were obviously using the cinders from the locomotives to ballast the rails. And so I'm looking for a mixture of ballast material to get the ballast down.
Jeffrey,
Yes.
I have a suggestion, it's Pat here. You could probably add a little dirt to the original ballast of cinder that you have. It'll lighten it up enough.
Okay. Yeah. Because the stuff I've got is just too jet
Too black.
black.
Yeah.
It looks like coal.
Add a little dirt
and-
to it.
Okay.
I've
give
only
that a
been to their
try.
website, but have you tried some of that Arizona rock?
I have been looking at their webpage. They do offer different blends of ballast. It's kind of hard to tell from the webpage what the finished stuff is going to look like. And pretty much, if you want their stuff, you got to order it from them. So I may take a shot at a bag or two of their ballast, because I have some of their other stuff for the out on the line where it's not cinders and that it's some more local rock. I'm using some of their Crumberson Toltec. It's a reddish brownish rock, and I really like that. And it is real rock. Whereas the
Problem is-
woodlands,
Yeah, sorry. Problem is, they're about 6 months on delivery right now.
oh really?
Yep.
Okay.
Holy mackerel. Wow.
Had any trouble with the Hunterline stain shrinking the wood?
No, none at all. It dries exceptionally quickly because of the alcohol base. The one thing I did do is on the thinner stuff, I made sure to stain both sides, even if it wouldn't show, again, to prevent warping. Now, as you can see, the base pieces there are actually 1/4 inch by 1/4 inch, so they're pretty hefty. But for example, the steps on the stairs there, the siding and so forth is just stained on all sides, and it did not warp. And my next step would be, I'm about to start cutting styrofoam to fill in the real estate behind there. There's the structure without
Are
the
you-
locomotive in the way.
Are you saying you didn't pre-stain the wood?
I did, absolutely, every stick.
Oh, okay. The way it mentioned there, it sounded like because you said why I didn't do the back, so I don't know how you.
Yeah, no, I did. Every piece of wood in this kit was pre-stained before it was assembled. And for example, you can see the side of the structure is a
Yeah.
fairly thin piece of wood, and that was pre-stained. I pre-stained both sides of it with the Hunterline stain.
Oh, so you don't, okay. Yeah, I firmly believe you stain the whole piece when you do it, because
Yes,
Yeah.
Yes, yes, yeah. So
Any piece, no matter if it's little piece, big piece.
Yep.
Yep.
Every stick, every sheet. Generally what I did is it comes in laser cut sheets. And if I knew that the whole sheet was going to be stained one way, before I even cut them out, I would use that as a carrier and just stain both sides, let it dry, then cut them out. And then if I needed to, come back and hit the edges. But yeah, you can, as you can see underneath really well in this photo, the counterweights for the chutes, the retaining wall in the back, the braces, you can see every stick of wood in this structure.
Alrighty. Are there any more questions for Jeff? Actually, I have one. Jeff, you coming to Timonium?
I don't know yet. I've got a really busy schedule in October.
No, okay. All right. Well, anyway, thanks for sharing, Jeff. And this is quite a build. I would like to see some interior shots. I mean, when I put the slideshow together, I didn't realize all of what you had in this. This is quite a model.
Yeah, it's an amazing model kit. It's a Crystal River kit. Kind of rare for me. The kit is built straight out of the box. I did not modify it because they rigorously followed the prototype. If you look on the inside, each of those bins are built up with separate sideboards, and they literally figured out that some of them had 6 sideboards and some of them had 8 sideboards, and they replicated that from bin to bin.
Wow.
So they had obviously done, I think they went and looked at the prototype structure still exists today. It's been partially restored, but part of it is the original. And I think they went out and measured it and counted the boards and everything. And just barely visible on the left there is the retaining wall. And that retaining wall also is board by board, length by length, identical to the prototype. So I built this guy straight out of the box, and that the only challenge was to give it a finish that really did justice to the quality of the kit. And if anybody who's interested in it, this is now available again from Crystal River. I checked today, it's on their webpage and they're ready to ship.
Wow, cool.
Great kit.
And this is O scale, right?
This is O scale, but they do HO and S as well.
Okay, cool. I'll have to check them out. All right, thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.
All right, next up is Mitch Lovelace. He's probably not here because he usually works on at night. Mitch, are you up?
No, he's not here.
Okay. All right. So Mitch has been sending us pictures of a city scene that he's been working on, and he's done some pretty remarkable stuff. This is all, believe it or not, N scale. So it's really, it's hard to believe that it's N scale. So let's see, how many slides? 6 of them. Okay, so here you've got the billboard that he put in. I mean, that looks fantastic the way that's set up there. And then he took a picture and he inserted it into a store scene down there and did some backlighting with it. So that came out pretty nice. And then he's done some work on some storefronts, and he's been working on some windows, putting writing on windows. Moving on a little bit, he's been adding some trees in. So he's got some trees in there now. And that's an overview of how it looks, or looked at when he sent us the photos. But he's managed to pack quite a lot into this little tiny area. So I think Mitch has really come a long way on this little scene. All right, and then that just seemed like the perfect final shot. Does anybody have any questions or things they want to bring up regarding this?
That's really nice work on the roof.
Yeah, we can go back to the roof real quick here, right there. Yeah, we showed a detail photo, a single detail photo of the top of the roof, or an overview of the roof last month. And it looks like he's done a little bit more detail work on it.
That's a fantastic job for N scale.
Oh, yeah. He told me it was N scale. I bought, wow. I think most of the building fronts are, if not all of them, are DPMs. So, Mitch, I know you're listening to us, so great job. Keep it up, and we hope to hear more from you, see more from you in the future here. All right, Ed O'Rourke, you up, Ed?
Yes.
All right, looks like you've got 2 slides.
Okay, so this is a plan for a warehouse that I built for my friend Jim Height. Jim has a Tuesday night group that's gotten together for 25 years to build his layout. And this was sitting for the longest time. It's drawn by a gentleman named Don Andrews, who was former superintendent of the Central New York Division, passed away 10 years ago now. I don't think he had a layout, but he loved to draw up plans for them. So he had this plan. It just shows the 2 elevations. And Jim said, good, build it. So I did some fiddling around to see how I could make it work a little better. I decided that for an actual, because I made it a factory, not a warehouse. For a factory, it would need more windows. So I doubled the number of windows on the side of it. Jim was paying for them, so that was all right. So that's the plan. I think the next picture must be.
Yep, so what you come up with.
Yeah, so this is what we ended up with. It's all scratch built. It's scribe siding that I had to piece together because they don't make anything that long. There's a joint somewhere in there, I don't remember. And the same with the height. Actually, the awning over the dock and the sign are sort of high camouflaging the joint between the pieces there. The windows are all from Tichy. Jim wanted them to tilt in. We like those, so that's what we did. And as I say, everything's scratch built. It's that back corner on the left side sits right against the backdrop, and the right side, which you can't see, is actually shortened because of the way the track comes in against the backdrop. There wasn't room for a full structure. The back of it isn't finished. And what else can I tell you? The roof is from a company called Paper Creek. They made all kinds of shingles and roofing material and things like that. They didn't stay in business very long because unfortunately anybody with a copy machine only had to buy 1 set of their stuff, and then you could mass produce it. But that's their rusted sheet metal roof, corrugated roof. And the story, it's not finished. Jim Height unfortunately passed away in June, so we're probably just had a last run on the layout, and we're going to be in the process of tearing it down. And I think I'm going to take this. I don't know what I'll do with it. So it was never completely installed on the layout before Jim got too sick to do anything about it. But it was fun to build. What else was there? There was something else.
It looks like you've got lighting in there. Is that right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's lighting inside. The interior is just photo backdrop that I put in it of the interior of a warehouse, because it's back from the edge of the layout a bit, so you weren't really going to see if there was a real interior in it. The roof doesn't come off. And as you can see, I modified it because we wanted a dock on this end of it. The other end has a stream, so that's just a plain been there, and we were, before Jim got too sick to do anything about it, we were arguing about whether it was water powered or whether it was, whether it would be coal powered, and we never quite came to any resolution. It would have been fun to try and figure out a way to add a mill wheel and everything to the mill race and everything to the other side of it, but that's never going to happen, unfortunately. Oh yeah, and so the backstory is Old Man Batchelder. It's in kind of rough shape, and the reason is because Old Man Batchelder's son-in-law is down in North Carolina. This is July 4th weekend of 1948 is what Jim models in the Adirondacks of New York. And Old Man Batchelder's son-in-law is down in North Carolina as we speak, negotiating for a factory down there. And he's going to close the factory and throw all the guys that work there out of work pretty soon, which is why he hasn't kept the building up too well. So that's it. Unless somebody has questions. This is Jim's layout is imagined. It's called the Ogdensburg and Norwood, which was actually a short line that his family owned on the remnants of the Rutland and the O&W. And it runs through what are real towns in the Adirondacks, but in no way would a railroad have existed there. It's all imagined. This is in Potsdam, New York, which is on the layouts about looks something like maybe Milwaukee or so, but Potsdam has about 150 people living there most of the time when the college kids aren't up there. But it was fun. Anyway, it was fun to build, certainly.
You do the
Any
signage.
questions? Pardon?
How did you do the signage?
That was done on a computer. I figured out a font that I liked that looked old enough to have been like that, and just did it out on a computer. Had to be done in sections, and just pasted it on some I think it's actually mat board, and painted the edges around it, framed it out with some strip wood, and painted the edges, and then applied the sign and weathered it.
Very cool.
Jim was really a great guy. I served with him I knew Jim quite well, actually. And he was an excellent guy. Jim and I served on the board, the NMRA board together. And then
he was the founder of the Central New York Division, and was the region president for a while up here. And I'm in full disclosure, I'm the region president now, and he was a big help to me when I was first getting going with that. So we did get it. We have been able to run some track in there, built a switch to run into it. But
and his layout was it Model Railroader? I think so.
Yeah, it was in Model Railroader. I might have been in Model Craftsman once too, but in Model Railroader in fairly recent memory. Yeah,
yes.
Like the mid-teens sometime. It was in Model Railroader.
I thought it was even.
We have, if you want to see. We do a thing up in the northeastern region that we call NERX, which is a takeoff from the NMRAX, the online thing. We do an online thing every spring. And last spring, we had a layout tour of Jim's layout there. So you want to see it, it's nerx.org. I'll put that in the chat if you want to look for it. And he was. Last fall, he was able to narrate the thing and walk around and show everybody what it was, but he had ALS, and by June he was dead. It was sad to see him go so fast.
Yeah, very sad.
This is HO scale?
This is HO scale.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All righty. Well, thanks for sharing. This is quite a building, and sounds like it's quite a tribute also.
Yeah.
All righty. Well, thank you, Ed. And unless there's any more questions, we'll move on. All right. Travis Summit. You up, Travis?
Yeah, I'm here, Chris.
All right. Looks like you've got 7 slides. And I'll throw that warning out there now. When I went through these slides, I was like, oh, wow. So prepare to be wowed.
So this was a kit that was put out by I'm sure some of you guys know Craig Rusty. He does keepitRusty.com. He put out a kit around Christmas time last year. It's HO scale. A lot of fun. Everything detail wise, and the brick wall back there is all 3D printed. There was no white metal or anything like that. So it was a lot of fun.
Well, that is some kid.
Yeah.
My gosh. Is he making any other scale but HO?
Not to my knowledge. He was talking about putting out another kit. He only made, I think he wound up making 130 or so. And then he was talking about putting one out every year, but I haven't seen anything come across regarding this one. He was in the States and then he moved over to England. So this actually shipped from England. And then I think he was moving again. So I don't know if he's able to put another one out this year.
Yeah, I did see that there's a teaser on his website because I wasn't sure whose this was exactly, and I looked it up, and yeah, so there is a teaser for a kit coming out. Probably, it looks like maybe the end of the year, if that's what he does. But I think it looked like he did put out some stuff in other scales, but I didn't pay too close attention to it.
Yeah.
But this stuff is fantastic. I mean, you got to have a great kit to start out with, and then to do what you did with it is, it just takes it over the top.
No, I appreciate that. Yeah, it was a lot of, I'm relatively new to the hobby. I don't have a layout, so I'm just been building dioramas. And then the plan is when I do get the space to kind of pop them in. So it was fun to try some new stuff. It was the first time I used an airbrush. That little blue gray barn is airbrushed. And then I took an X-Acto knife and kind of flaked the paint off. And then all the wood that you see there was stained with oils, which was the first time that I had ever tried that too. So gives it a nice kind of old effect that you sometimes don't get with the Hunter line or the alcohol and India ink.
Yeah.
How large a diorama does that come out to be?
I believe it wound up being something like 25 by 12 or 13, with 25 wide by 13 deep.
It's really something.
Hmm.
Really something.
Got your boiler there.
And then all the figures, again, I'm sure some of you guys will be familiar with Model U. They're out of the UK as well.
Yep.
So they were done just for the kit. They come 3D printed and unpainted. And then you get your little brushes and go in there and hopefully don't get too close up on some of them, because at HO scale, they're a little small. Some of those hands and boots and stuff like that.
Fantastic. Really like the brickwork on that building there on the left.
Yeah, like I said, it was 3D printed, and it painted really well. And one of the nice things about the 3D prints is that unlike Hydrocal, if you really don't like a spot, you can just wipe it off and start again. So very forgiving.
Yeah.
What do you use for ground cover?
It's all dirt. Is from Scenic Express, and I've been trying to figure out a way to make my own, since it gets a little pricey if you use a lot of it. And then everything else is either Woodland Scenics, and then there's some Martin Wahlberg Studios. Scenic Express sells them. I think he's out of Europe somewhere for some of the bushes and things like that.
Yeah, with dirt, one of the tricks I learned early on, well, first of all, you can use your own out of your backyard or wherever. But what you should, from what I've read, what you really need to do is basically put it on like a cookie sheet or something when the wife's not home. Put it in the oven at 250 for about half an hour, and basically what that does is it kills the microbes and all that may grow and invade your layout.
Gotcha. Yeah, and don't want any roly polies or worms in there, I would imagine. Probably
Yeah.
kills those too. So
Yep.
You realize, Chris, if any wives are watching right now, how many emails you're gonna
Well,
get.
yeah, I probably, yeah. But 6% of model railroaders are women. So at least as far as I can tell, it looks like 6% of them.
Just get your
A
own
lot of them
baking
actually like
sheet,
to do
that's all.
scenery, so they probably know this already.
Imagine the aroma.
Yeah.
That was a new spray.
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
Buy your wife some new baking sheets and have her give you the old ones, that's all.
All right, so we'll move on to the next shot here. But these all, and even photographing it outside, I think even adds a depth of realism that
It does.
photographing inside doesn't add.
yeah, and it helps with you get a lot of nice shadows
Yeah.
to add to the realism as well. So yeah, the front general store, that's just a basic clapboard. And then the top piece was also 3D printed, and I thought it was cool. It had those little owls on it. And then the red barn behind that, that's all board on board. And the engine house that's to the left there, that was just laser cut studs, which was really neat to put together.
Cool.
Nice job.
Thanks.
That to me is why model railroading art is an art form.
Yeah.
That's beautiful work.
I have one question for you. That tree in the background, was that done from a piece of sagebrush?
Yeah, it's
right there.
Yeah, it's a piece of, I think Scenic Express used to sell them, but I've never seen them available. So I went on eBay, and you can get, I think it's just a guy that lives out in Colorado, and you get a big box.
Yeah.
And some of them are better suited for trees than others.
Yep.
And then I took the little pieces of super tree, and you spray them with hairspray, dip them in the ground foam, and super glue them on one piece at a time.
Great job.
It took a lot less time than I thought it would. It sounded labor intensive, but it wasn't.
I thought that was a real tree.
Yeah.
Cool. These guys.
We'll forgive you this time.
Yeah. And that little vine on the side there, that was made the same way. Just obviously no sagebrush, just the super trees with the ground foam.
Where did you get the figures from? Are they mini prints?
They were from a company called Model U, and it was an add-on for this kit, but they do sell it online as the Millworkers pack. I think it was 17 figures all told. And then they have, they have all different eras and all different, there's slate workers, they have factory workers, fish people that work at like a fish market, and they just come 3D printed in gray, and they do every scale. I mean, I think N scale and above, and they're just some really crisp. They actually will scan a real person that's holding a cigar or holding a bag, and then they use those to make the print, so it's real people.
Very good.
Right, and there's your overview. This is just a fantastic piece of work here.
Thanks.
Any more questions for Travis? All right. So thanks.
Yeah,
Thank you.
how long did it take you to put this all together?
Maybe 4 months start to finish. So
wow.
Impressive.
Thanks.
Yep. All righty. Any more questions? Well, thank you, Travis. This is fantastic work, and hopefully we can see more of you.
We
Appreciate
have a
that. You will.
question for Travis from YouTube.
Oh, okay.
They have asked, what color did you use for the green roof?
So that was the standing seam roofing. It was metal, and then it was primed like a medium brown, and then it was a Tamiya. I think it might have been aircraft green, and then just weathered really heavily with oils and mineral spirits.
Beautiful job.
Thank
you.
Travis, could you send me an email if you don't mind? Pat, can you put my email address in the chat for him so that he's got it?
Sure.
Thanks, Travis. I appreciate it.
Of course. Happy to.
What he's saying is you're going to do a clinic.
Maybe more than one.
Fair enough.
No, that's just magnificent work. I mean, that's man, a 2 foot by 1 foot diorama like that. That's something.
Thanks, Jim. Means a lot coming from you.
Alrighty.
That is something. Don't you think,
Okay.
Clark? Clark, I mean, what do you? I mean, that's something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very well done. Yep.
Yeah, outstanding.
But and this isn't against work, but this is the type of kits that are out available to you now that with effort, you just can't slap them together, but with excellent effort, you can build these fantastic models now. I mean, we're not in the age of a DPM kit anymore. And that is really one of the big boons, and has been, I would say, in the last, 3D printing now has been that in the last 2 years, but a laser cut structures and what they're doing with it and the materials that they've come out for laser cutting has just made the whole hobby that much better.
I agree.
Now you have to have skill to do this, but I mean, the structure itself, the assembly of the structures is pretty straightforward. Most people can do it with a little bit of, start off small and you practice a little bit and then you can build them. But it's the finish work, it's the finishing, it's the painting, it's the eye for detail. That's where the big difference is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very well done.
It really is.
Thanks. And you're right. Like I said, I started during the lockdown, so a couple of years ago, and it was really just a matter of I watched every YouTube video I can, saw that Nutrax modeling was around, and then you just in practice, just practicing and seeing what different things do to different materials. It's all there is to it.
And that's an excellent point. People are always afraid to try something. Well, you don't go out and buy a $200 kit and try it on that.
Yeah.
You go out and buy a piece of styrene, you go and buy a piece of laser board or whatever, and you practice. It's just like anything else in life. You have to practice it. And people say, oh, how did you do this? Well, like they say, how do you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice.
Yeah. Let me add on my cooling tower. That's exactly what I did. Since it's laser cut, there's lots of excess material, and to experiment on the finishing before I attack the model kit pieces, if I was uncertain how it was going to come out, I used the excess material from the laser cutting and tried the staining and painting on there until I was happy with the outcome and knew that I was not going to mess up the parts of an expensive kit.
Exactly. And I think that's something we have to share with people.
Clark, I agree. I've got 3 emails from different modelers that came in last week saying that what they would like to see on the show is very, very detailed painting, weathering, how to paint it, how to weather it. And, different people have different ways of doing it. I mean, it's not one, there's not just one way that works for everybody maybe, but I would love to be able to get more more modelers that really understand the painting and weathering aspects of the hobby to come on the show and take a segment or so and really show us how they paint, how they weather, because there is an art to it.
Oh, it doesn't come overnight.
No, and it's not, everybody doesn't do it the same way.
No,
And that-
everybody likes, it's like anything. I mean, we were talking about water earlier.
Yeah.
And you gotta look at different, I'm sorry, I don't want to take up time if we can talk about this in the open talk.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
But again, if you're out there and you have some skills in weathering and painting, please get in touch with me, because I really am serious. I'd like to be able to have these kind of segments on the show, because I think they are really important. Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think he wanted to hold off on his comments till the after show.
Yeah, we'll do it in the after show and we can discuss how we can maybe progress with that idea.
Yeah. We've got a lot of people on YouTube. That's the only reason why I was bringing it up when I did, because they won't be available for the after show. And this really is, whether you're on YouTube tonight or Zoom, makes no difference, because you can come on Zoom just maybe for the segments that you would do on weathering or painting. And we don't want you to feel that you're being left out of this, because wherever you're watching this, please consider contacting me. It's Jim Kello at newtracksmodeling.com.
And and the YouTubers, if you put out your ideas, we will, I say we, Jim will attack people to get your clinics on the air.
Oh, absolutely. And seriously, I don't watch the chat function on YouTube. We've got Pat Brevard tonight is the one that's watching it. But if you've got any comments, if you have somebody, maybe it's not you, but somebody that you've seen do something that you think would be good for it, let us know. That's why we're here. We're trying to help each other.
It's interactive.
Absolutely.
Yep.
All righty. Well, that's exactly part of what this is all about, is sparking discussion. So mission accomplished for tonight on that one. So thanks, Travis. And we'll move on to James Taverna now. You up, James?
Yes, I am.
All right, you ready? Looks like you got 8 slides.
Okay. So my presentation exactly plays into what you were just talking about. It's essentially redoing paint. And I had bought a factory painted set of Key AB F7s, and the lettering was totally wrong. The letters are out of scale, and the striping is too wide, and it really it sort of detracted from the appearance of the engines, and also in the brass market, it lowered their value. So what I decided to do with my heart and my mouth essentially was to see if I could sand off the lettering. And you can see here in the first photo, this is the lettering that came from Key, which is an out of date, incorrect Champ set. And this is the B unit. And so the B unit shows where I have already sanded off the lettering and so forth, and trying to avoid damaging the lettering above, or the paint job above the belt rail, above the batten strip that runs through the middle of the locomotive. And so I got these sanding sticks from the store that women go to for their manicuring stuff and so forth. I think it's called Sally's. In fact, I believe I got an opening gift for setting up an account, so I wisely used that to get a purse for my wife. And so I made out very well when I returned home with that. No problems in going to Sally's thereafter. So anyway, so the first 2 shots here are essentially 2 views of the starting point of the A unit, and the B unit has already been sanded, and you can see the residue on the washable sanding sticks. Those two sticks are of different grits, and I was staying in about a 600 grit type of arena, 420 to 600. And I also, if you look on the pink stick, you can see I've cut off the end of it to get into certain areas, like to get these little unit numbers in the back without disturbing the handrails and so forth, as I tried to get them off. So we can go to the next slide. All right, so now we've really attacked the A unit. And so the sanding is completed, and you can see I had some residue at this time here of the underlayment of the decal, and I continued sanding, and eventually over here I had gotten all of the decal off without too much damage to the paint. The paint actually must have been scale coat Brunswick green, because it was a dead-on match, which was fortunate for me. And then over here you can see I got the stripe off that came down over the nose. I got the bullets off behind the number boards because they were way oversized and incorrect. And the next thing that came off was the keystone on the front. So we've now got the locomotive essentially in a base condition to start working back, to start painting it, and then using the new decals and rub-ons that I had obtained. This here is a jeweler's tool, and that's a diamond-tipped wheel with little fingers that's made by 3M, and that's also an excellent tool for doing fine grinding. In fact, that little rubber wheel, if you have a bulbous solder joint, you can use that and it'll take the tin off of the joint and leave you with a nice brass joint where you won't notice any excess solder at all. So that's been a very handy one to have around. Okay, next one. So now I've masked off the areas that I want. I have the original paint that I didn't want to paint over, and I've left open the areas below the belt line where we're going to paint. So now this is the B unit, and you can see the new paint over where I had sanded off the lettering matches pretty well into the upper area. And the grills are all fine, everything is fine. So we're making pretty good progress in the direction that we want to go. Next. Another view. So this is give you a shot. You can see there's a little bit of shadow on the side of the unit. This has got dull coat on it, of course, because it's the factory finish. And this is just gloss because I have to letter it. But you'll see when I finished, once I dull coated the entire unit, everything blended together. So here, I'm now starting to put on a scale 2-inch wide stripe on the side of the B unit, as opposed to that very thick stripe that came with the original factory paint job. Next. All right, so now, this is the A unit completely relettered. So now it's got the correct flare. It's got the narrow stripe. This is a rub-on from Clover House, which is Clover House is a beautiful Penske engine set in O scale in the Dulux. Unfortunately, they're out of print right now because he can't get anybody to make him a new set of Dulux. It's hard to find printers. And there's this. I take a mix here. So the new lettering on the back is a correctly sized Dulux Champ, and then this is a new decal on the builder's plate and so forth. The F has been a redo, and so I've got this down. There's a new herald going to be, you can see it's not there yet, but going on the front. And then the heralds now here are correctly sized. I've added like fuel and water. And in the back of the units, there was some very fine lettering that I had gotten sets made. And so there's the 600 volts and all other kind of lettering on the unit. Next. So here's the A and B unit, both completed and back on their chassis. And so you can see they're a much nicer and more prototypical looking unit, and completely lettered. Did the outline of the fuel fills and all of that stuff as I put it back together, and got my weathered coupler and my engine house lettering on the front and so forth. And I'm looking for a red F. Is there another letter, another slide?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, okay, we got the action shot. So these are the engines. I went a little further. The B unit has its builder's plate in a different place. There's a truss plate on the B unit as well. And so now the engine set really looks a lot better on the railroad than that toy train looking AB set that I started with. And you can see also the putting on the dull coat has blended the upper and lower sections such that you really can't see that they're one is the original scale coat, and the bottom half of the unit is my my spray paint job of the new scale coat for my lettering base.
Fantastic. I think that's it. Let me see. Nope, there it is.
There they are coming around on the main line underneath the Shamokin branch as it goes off to heading down to head into Harrisburg.
All right. That was a fantastic job on that re-letter and all that. Are there any questions for Jim?
Jim, I got a question for you. I think Clover does a great job with the lettering and everything. I've never personally been successful with using that kind of lettering on anything. How would you like to come back and do a segment and show us how you did that? How you take those kind of rub-on letters and actually get them to go on and make them straight and not tear and so forth, because every time I've tried to use anything like that, I have made a big mess with it.
Well, I'd be more than willing, Jim, that I have to be honest and say that I've been using rub-ons a long time, and in many cases, I prefer them to decals. Decals are good when you've got irregular surfaces and things like that, but flat surfaces like the sides of locomotives or boxcars and things of that nature are not a problem. And for me, I'm getting rather casual about it, so I don't take all the steps I should take because I've been doing it so long. So I'll have to go back and make sure I use more hinges.
Yeah, that would be great. If you can just send me an email, then we can arrange a time and so forth. It's good for you, and have you come back and do it, because that is just gorgeous work.
Well, it just so happens I have another set of these diesels. They're actually, you can buy them pretty inexpensively because of that crappy lettering. So I bought another set, and I'll be doing this again.
Okay, that's great. That would be fantastic. Well, if you'll just send me an email, Pat, if you could put my email in the chat so that he has it. Pat, did you happen to hear?
Yeah, I heard you. I just got to get it written in.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, so Jim, thank you.
I have a question.
Sure.
You mentioned you used a Scale Coat 2.
No, this is brass. I use Scale Coat 1 on both brass and plastic. I also use Scale Coat 2, but I get a better gloss out of Scale Coat 1, and so that's what this is.
Okay, now can you still purchase that from someone? I find it hard to find right now.
Well, there was a fellow who took over the line in Massachusetts, but I understand he just shut down. But if you came down into my spray booth, I have probably about a 25-year supply of Scale Coat colors.
Wow, thank you.
I will tell you, some of that Scale Coat I bought back in 1992.
Wow. Oh, man.
Yeah, was that Minuteman that bought Scale Coat?
That's correct. Yeah, and I'm really disappointed he went out because he had brought all the colors back, and now he's out of business.
Yeah, I thought he was going gangbusters, but then, and in fact, we used to see him at Timonium quite a bit. I
Yeah.
don't remember. Greg, do you remember? Was he there last at the last Timonium show?
No, I haven't seen him for over a year.
Okay.
Yeah. Jim, I just got to say, this is beautiful work. Can I ask a question? How long did it take you start to finish?
This project start to finish was probably about, I'd say a couple of months, because I'm also modifying and painting other things as well as building the layout.
That little layout.
Yeah. I have assistants though in that little layout though too. Thank you, Greg. Yeah, I have a blog that I don't know how I could get it out to you guys, but if you look at my blog, I've been keeping it since I started working on the layout about 2007. But I also have a lot of these projects in the blog. That's how I was able to send Chris these photographs, because I did this project probably about, I'd say 8 years ago. And this became my favorite engine set because they ran so well and they look so nice.
Yeah. It sure made a difference, no question about it.
So is the blog under your name or is it under your railroad or?
It's under the railroad name.
Okay.
I'll send you the address if you'd like it.
Yeah, that'd be great. That way we can share it.
Do you know how to put it in the chat?
No, I don't have it in the chat. I could put it, I'd have to dig it up and put it in.
Yeah, even if it's just a name, we can find it.
When you come back, we can talk about the blog too.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was the fellow who put up those pictures earlier, Jim, of the resin cars that I built that Chris included. There were about 4 or 5 cars.
Yep, I remember.
Alrighty. Any more questions for Jim? All right. Well, thank you very much, Jim. And we look forward to hopefully getting a clinic on the dry transfer decals. All right. DS Yates, are you up?
Don't think so.
Okay. Yeah, he sent these pictures in the other day. So these are N scale and they're scratch built.
Jeez.
He sent me these and I was just blown away by the fact that they're N scale and the fact that they were scratch built.
Yep.
I mean, if it was HO, okay, yeah, I get it, but it's N scale. It's like, wow, that's pretty spectacular for N scale.
Yes, sir.
So he did a fabulous job. I think, yeah, there's just 2 pictures that he sent in. So there's that one. And then it looks like what was that, an engine pit down there? But yeah, he doing fantastic work. If you're Mr. Yates, if you're watching us on YouTube, you're doing a fantastic job. Keep it up. Please send us more photos. And please join us. This is some really great work here.
It really is outstanding. Thanks so much for sharing.
All right, looks like we've got the Jim Taverna's blog in the chat window if anybody's looking for it. All right. So we'll move on. All right, the next My Build is the October challenge is Halloween. Haunted houses, abandoned buildings, abandoned railroad cars, scarecrows, derelict engines, fall scenes, pumpkins, trick-or-treaters, anything you can come up with that is a little bit spooky, a little bit haunted, anything along those lines. The show will be October 18th To participate, email your photos to me, railrunner130@hotmail.com. And then the next regular free-for-all, my build will be November 22nd. And please try to get those photos to me by October 15th. And again, there's my email address, railrunner130@hotmail.com. Thanks to everybody that participated tonight. I think we ran long, but I think as we do, the long ones tend to be the ones that people really enjoy. So hopefully, thanks to everybody that participated. And if you haven't participated before, please send us what you're working on, something you found, something you have questions on. I was pretty happy to see that Ed was looking for direction on how to proceed with the pond, and he got some pretty decent input as to how to fix that or to address that issue. So that's exactly what this is about, and this is exactly what we want to keep doing. So we've had a couple new people and tonight, and that's great, and we just want to see that continue.